April Fools is the time of year when the circus's clowns are released into the open and sweep the nation in a collective effort to ruin their loved ones' lives. But not actually, because it's April Fools. Got 'em. Ha! Today, we're counting down our list of the top 10 April Fool's pranks. Hit that like button because we've got some goose and some gaffes for all to enjoy. And strangely enough, we actually do encourage you to try these pranks at home. The safe ones, anyway. Jumping straight into it, in at number 10, we've got April Fool's fake poop prank. I mean, you'd think by now we would have all gotten over toilet humor. Well, not today, it seems. In the first April Fool's prank on this list, we've got Jesse Wellens playing a really ill-mannered prank on his, at the time, girlfriend, Gina Smith. The prank involves a piece from a cat toy being eaten by their cat, then making its way out the other end. Of course, that didn't actually happen, but he used chocolate to mimic the look and some really bad fart spray to give it a disgusting cherry on top. After the stage is set, he lures her in and...
Come look at it. I hope he's alright. Ew. Get out of here, stinker.
Ew. Well, get rid of it. Flush it.
What do you think it is?
His toy. Ew, man. Oh! Oh my god!
She just flips out, and rightfully so. The worst part is that he kept going, following her through the house with the scooper until they got to their other bathroom. This guy is just too much. It was bad enough he did it once, but continuing with it is just insane. Of course, by the end, he admitted it was fake, but was it worth the emotional scars she got? Probably. Yeah, okay, 100%. She got him back in some of their next videos, I'm sure, but I don't know if it'll measure up to this kitty litter catastrophe. Number 9. The worst thing you can think of when going out to dinner is spilling a drink all over your valuables, especially your phone. But not to worry, thanks to the new screen cleaner option in the Google Files app, your worries will be wiped clean. Well, at least that's what this little April Fool's prank by Google says it'll do. Honestly, this video doesn't seem like something a company like Google would actually put out there. It had me weak when the sprayer came up out of the phone. Like, how ridiculous can you get with this? But there's an even bigger selling point for this app. I feel like if I saw this in the middle of the night, I'd probably just think I was having some strange fever dream or something. For our number 8 entry, we've got a prank that displays one of the best performances I've ever personally seen come from a math professor. Imagine it's just another day in class. You're ready for a lecture on calculus or something, and your teacher does this.
You use this X right here to get the... Uh-oh. Oh my gosh, I just drew on that. Hold on. You know what? I'm gonna search for a solution. Let's see, video, math. Maybe this guy can help me. There we go. Hey, you. Hey, do you think you could help me? I accidentally drew on the screen right here. I don't know what to do. No, a little bit farther down, right there. Yeah, there you go.
He got pretty into it. I mean, this must have taken so many hours to rehearse and edit out. I respect the effort so much, though. It gets even better when he starts adding props to this crazy creative act.
All right. Move out of the way. Let's see if I can do this. There we go.
All right, seriously though, how come my teachers can't even figure out how to stop YouTube from auto-playing the next video, but this dude can literally put on a really solid comedy act? This professor is just an absolute legend, going through all this effort for his students' amusement. It's pretty wholesome to see a teacher doing something like this, rather than dropping a surprise test on their students like most would. Number 7, we're going from one lecture hall to another. This time, instead of a real professor, we've got someone pretending to be one. And I gotta admit, if I were one of the kids in class, I would have fallen for it pretty quickly.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Athensteiner, and I'll be your professor for Chemistry 131. One thing I want to go over with you first. I know a lot of you are freshmen. How many of you are freshmen here? Most of you, yeah. Something you want to know about this class is extremely hard. Last year, 55% of this class failed. Not that.
I think the quality in this prank really comes from his presentation. The way he says how 55% of the course failed was just priceless. And then he just continues to conduct the class like normal, getting them to do some, well, pretty strange things. And the guy gets to run this gag for so long without anybody in the class even questioning it. Unfortunately, all good things do come to an end, and eventually the actual professor comes into the room and quickly tries to figure out who the guy is.
Who the hell are you? Who are you?
Run.
I mean, just picture a freshman and you come into class on the first day, ready to learn, and you see this dude just book it after he's busted by your real professor. While I'm sure this guy doesn't have a career set in teaching, with an act like this, he could have a pretty bright future in comedy. Number 6. If you didn't think Jesse from Prank vs. Prank couldn't outdo himself, you're pretty wrong. This time, leveling up slightly from his last April Fool's Day prank, his intention this time was to lock his girlfriend in the bathroom with some hissing cockroaches.
Do you think I would fall for this, you dumbass? Wow!
These pranks are getting more and more heartless. Then again, if it's all for the sake of this insane reaction, it may have been worth it. And she lost it completely, which, considering she had a massive fear of bugs, I can see why she freaked out. Her reaction to him coming in with a camera is just priceless here. Honestly, I got pretty nervous watching this because of how close she came to slipping in her socks. But hey, a little fun never hurt anyone, right? Well, I'm sure that Gina would beg to differ after being put in her own personal fear factor challenge. Number 5. Sometimes the best pranks are the ones that get their inspiration through real life. This guy explains his inspiration and uses this for the basis of his prank.
The reason I'm doing this is because I came into this kitchen earlier to wash my hands, and as soon as I turned this on, bang, the water broke. I got sprayed so hard because the water pressure in this thing is intense, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was soaked. I was looking around for a camera thinking maybe my wife got me with a prank, and nothing, no cameras. So I was like, dude, it's the perfect opportunity to get her with an April Fool's prank. She's been pranking me a lot for like many years, so it's time to get her back.
In fairness, it's a pretty good idea he works with what he's got, especially if he probably went out shopping to replace that faucet after he's had his fun pulling this creative April Fool's prank on his wife. As expected, she comes home and ends up using the faucet to fill a really oversized coffee mug. Okay, but for real though, why is that thing so big? Like what? She flips it on and I gotta say, for somebody who's just had water blasted into her face, she took this pretty well, even getting a kick out of it herself. To me, that's the sign of a really good prank, when it's overall just harmless and everybody involved can get a nice laugh out of it. But hey, at least this clip gave me a reason to check out prices on extra large coffee mugs for that late night grind. Number 4. Our next April Fool's prank happens in the offices of an escorting travel company who just so happens to have a dedicated Star Wars room. I mean, why don't more places have rooms like this?
What's our lunch plan?
I think it's 12:45.
I really want to see more rooms and pranks like this being done on the regular. They're pretty hilarious. And those guys are so lucky that the lady didn't spill her coffee all over the couch or herself. And it's made even better by the fact that they got most of their office with this prank without anyone snitching on good old Chewie. After all of these scares, the only problem I can see from here is getting anyone to use the Star Wars room ever again. I mean, imagine just sitting in there after being pranked that hard once by that Wookiee costume. I would be super paranoid every single time I walked in there. Number 3. This next prank is coming from NVIDIA. Similarly to Google, at a first glance, I thought this was 100% a fake troll video until I actually looked to see it was posted on their official YouTube channel. The guy here presenting the new product sells this really well, keeping a straight face for the whole showing.
GeForce has always been at the forefront of PC gaming, and today we're excited to announce the biggest revolution in PC gaming history: the GeForce GTX G-Assist.
Before he goes on to explain the full functions of the product, which apparently includes bringing AI to gaming.
Now with GeForce Ghost Play, you never have to compromise again. AI that watches how you play can mimic you, and you can tweak it with settings like actions per minute, how offensive or defensive you'd like to be, language preferences, and whether you'd like to taunt or emote while you're not even at your seat.
Okay, I get this is supposed to be a prank, but you can't lie. This would be pretty cool to have. Let's be real here. These features are getting a little beyond ridiculous. In all seriousness, this is a pretty solid prank, considering they went all the way. It's made even better by the fact that the first letters for this new device spell out GAG. It's a clever little Easter egg to top off this fun, practical joke. Number 2. We all hate spoilers, except for that one guy who spoiled it. I hate you. Stop. doing that. That's just a fact. So think of how every Game of Thrones fan felt when actress Macy Williams, I'm gonna butcher this name, Macy Williams, or however you say it, spilled a major spoiler for the show's final season on The Tonight Show. After telling Jimmy Fallon that HBO is trying to keep everyone pretty quiet about spoilers for the show, Fallon begs for just a little spoiler for the show's finale, and Macy seems to give in.
During shooting, like, the final days were really, like, emotional, saying goodbye to all of the cast. Because when I found out that Arya died in, like, the second episode, I was...
What?
The way she said it was so convincing, which makes perfect sense considering how good of an actress she is. But still, she had the audience fully convinced that she slipped up bad. She's such a phenomenal actress, and honestly, I gotta hand it to Jimmy as well for helping to sell the panic before the big reveal. Honorable mentions. Now, before we get into our number one slot, we have a few maybe less than honorable mentions to go through. This clip starts off with Jimmy Kimmel bringing his Aunt Chippy on stage, who he mentions he spent most of his childhood attempting to prank. Well, with the advantages of how hosting his own TV show, he can do that on a much larger scale. He then went on to mention that his aunt had never seen a sonogram until...
I didn't know they stood up.
She seems like such a gullible woman. I get that she hadn't seen a sonogram before, but how can you even believe for a second that a baby would be doing jumping jacks that early? When it switches over to the baby again, it gets even better.
Someone's waving. Jimmy. Son of a...
I don't know how Jimmy even managed to think of this. I mean, who actually does this? Even still, he got her good with this awesome prank. Honorable mention number 2 is gonna be the fake spelling bee. We've all been in or watched a spelling bee at least once in our lives. Oh, you haven't? Well, they exist. You could have gone to one. I don't really think any of us would have expected our teachers to give us fake words. And that's exactly what this grade school teacher did to his students, and somehow none of them even questioned him. It's probably because of how he presented it.
T-A-N-G-E-T-E-E-N. Tangentine. The next word is spiku. Look, there's a spiku. S-P-E-E-K-U-Z-S-L-M-N. There's silent letters at the end of that one. Yep.
The kids getting pranked are hilarious. They were genuinely so confused about the words, and it just made it so much better. After running down the list of quote-unquote words, he finally revealed the truth to his student.
April Fools, because this is an April Fool's joke!
Those kids were so annoyed for getting pranked like this, and it wasn't even April Fool's, which is why it gets a spot in our honorable mentions. Coming in our number 1 spot, we've got a really well thought out prank coming from Russian YouTuber Vitaly. Yeah, it's a yikes. His plan for the prank involves him having a baby mama and a child. He even came ready with fake DNA tests to convince his mother that the kid is his. He also didn't actually prank her on April 1st, instead opting to do it a few weeks earlier to make it seem like it wasn't a prank.
One second, relax. I'm here with my friend Jack. Take me in.
What?
Yeah.
Your friend?
Yeah, it's my friend Jack.
Hi, Jacqueline. I'm Elena. Nice to meet you. Who is this little one?
Anastasia.
Oh, it's like Nastya in Russian, right? Oh, she's so cute. Oh, she's scared me.
What can we do on that? What can we do on that?
No.
She instantly denies it, considering how out of nowhere this must have been. I can understand why, but still imagine if this somehow weren't a prank. That's a pretty rocky way to start your relationship with a grandchild. I can't get over how well this guy sells it, and his mother's reaction is just incredible. She absolutely roasts him with the laundry comment, and you know, fair play. Of course, it was all for the sake of a good prank, so naturally he told her it was fake.
Mama, the April Fools was 2 weeks earlier. It's the April Fools 2 weeks earlier.
I just can't believe he went to all this trouble for a prank like this. If this were my mom, she would flip the same way, maybe even worse. April Fools, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click that like button if you enjoyed, and check out our other video right here, right now. Go ahead and click it, and we'll catch you guys next time on Top 5 Central. Bye-bye.